Hello there, folks. Susan Hall, the Tory London Mayoral candidate, is beyond vile. We know this already. And she is the perfect representation of the current Conservative political party. Just when we think she has reached peak levels of vileness, she somehow pulls yet another rabbit out of the hat. At the Conservative Party conference in Manchester, Hall was addressing the Conservative Friends of Israel group. Now, Susan Hall is not the first politician, nor shall she be the last politician, to fall completely flat on their face when addressing Israeli political groups. So utterly desperate for their support, and lacking so much as a shred of shame, this was only going to end one way for the hapless Tory. Yes, that's right. Further dog whistle politics directed at her opponent, Sadiq Khan. Let's take a look.
I believe in this country, live in London. I live in North London, and I know the wealth and the joy of the community. But I tell you something else, I know how frightened some of the community is because of the divisive attitude of Sadiq Khan. One of the most important things that we can do when I become Mayor of London is to make it safer for everybody, but particularly for our Jewish community. So I will ask for as much help as I can get in London, because we need to defeat him, particularly for our Jewish community.
Outside of the obvious insinuation that Sadiq Khan is hostile towards Jewish people, and we will get to that in a moment, this was a completely bizarre little speech. I hope you see what I mean when I say it genuinely seems like politicians leave their common sense at the door when addressing these Israeli political groups. Because Hall said she wants to make London safer for everybody, but particularly for the Jewish community. So, wait a moment. That surely sounds like a commitment to make London safer for one religious group and not others, no? A truly bizarre thing to say. Put the shoe on the other foot for a moment here. Imagine if Sadiq Khan were to say he wishes to make London safer for everybody, but particularly for Muslims. Huh! Can you imagine how that would be greeted by the right-wing media and people like Susan Hall? Good God. So, the Board of Deputies of British Jews were quick to respond to Susan Hall's vile outburst, saying, "Throughout his tenure as mayor, Sadiq Khan has treated our community with friendship and respect. We hope to co-host the key mayoral candidates at a 2024 Jewish hustings, where it will be clear that while London Jews may have varying political views, there is no fear present at all." So interestingly, look at this reply below from Lord Lee of Hurley. He says, "Just reading the replies to this post shows why the board should not have made this statement and should keep out of politics." Well, Lord Lee, I have news for you. This is a democracy, and anybody has the right to comment on politics. The sheer volume of people and groups the Conservatives have told to stay out of politics over the past few years is off the scale. Besides, in this instance, it was Susan Hall who dragged the entire Jewish community into the gutter with her. The idea they should not be entitled to distance themselves from such a filthy smear is laughable. If the Board of Deputies of British Jews cannot defend somebody from false charges of anti-Semitism, it's impossible to imagine who could. The Jewish Labour Movement have sent a letter to Susan Hall, and I believe they've CC'd Greg Hands, the chairman of the Conservative Party, so he'll be receiving a copy of this letter as well. Thank God it isn't going to the deputy chair of the Conservative Party, because we all know who that is, and we all know what he would do with this letter. But that's besides the point. I won't read this letter out. It's on the Jewish Labour Movement's Twitter page if you want to read it. To say they are disgusted would be an understatement. And finally, Susan Hall appeared on GB News this morning or this afternoon, one of the two, to clarify her comments. So let's hear what nonsense she came out with this time.
Why, Susan? Why do you want to do this? Why is it important to you?
Because I've been born and bred in London. I love London, genuinely. And I have seen it deteriorate under Sadiq Khan over the last 7 years. And somebody's got to get in there and make a difference with common sense policies. And somebody's got to go in there and say what they think. Now, there'll always be media storms the minute you say what you think.
Well, I was going to say, what you think sometimes gets you into trouble, because
Yes.
you've got into trouble now. Well, I'll ask you about it. You said it here yesterday. I know how frightened some of the Jewish community is because of the divisive attitude of Sadiq Khan. What do you mean?
Well, I'm just going back to policing. The way the policing is in London, so many Jewish people do not feel safe. That's wrong, and I will never apologise for defending the Jewish community. I've got so many friends that are literally talking of leaving the country because they don't feel safe. That is unacceptable in London.
Jewish people?
Yes.
Leaving the country?
Yes, going to Israel. I mean, it shouldn't be in that state. Since Sadiq Khan has taken over, these sort of attacks have doubled, literally doubled. I think there's been over 1,000 or around about 1,000 so far this year.
Attacks on Jewish men and women?
Yes, that's right.
Physical attacks or verbal? Or...
Recorded attacks, I don't have the list on it. But that's not good enough. So I will look after all different communities. He is in charge of the police. He should make sure our streets are safer.
You will note she is now banging on about the police. But of course, absent from her vile speech to the conservative friends of Israel was any such mention of the police. She is completely out of control. She is incoherent, and she is engaging in dog whistle politics and smears far more than Zach Goldsmith ever did. And if you recall, Goldsmith ran a deeply unpleasant campaign against Sadiq Khan in 2016. But that's about enough from me. Let me hand you over to the Secretary of State for dog whistles and smears herself, for this sickening endorsement of Susan Hall, which couldn't be further removed from reality.
And to those who ask whether Labour can be trusted to fight crime, I have a two-word answer. Sadiq Khan. If there's any justice in this world, Susan Hall is going to wipe the floor with him in May. They've already started the character assassination against Sue. The distortions, the insults, the lies, because that's what the Labour Party always does. It prefers smears to debate. Now, personally, I take their abuse as a compliment.
Imagine being so daft as to come out with such utter drivel only a few hours following Susan Hall smearing Sadiq Khan as a danger to the London Jewish community. Dear God, what an appalling bunch of people. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you again soon. Cheers.